Hello and welcome to an Everyday Canines video. This is the Weave Game series, and in this episode we're looking at front crosses and blinds before weave piles. This is what I call the I screwed up game. So this is because generally I avoid doing front crosses and blinds before weave piles, especially on short distances like 5 meters. The reason for this is the dogs need to be able to see the pole to get the weave entry. And when you do a blind or a front cross, if you're late, then what can happen is your dog can't see where they're going and they misjudge it, they get things wrong. I've had that time and time again. So I try to avoid doing any sort of cross in front of the weave poles. I prefer to do it either once the dog is going through at a rear cross or after. However, occasionally we get in the wrong place, we panic, we go, oops, I'm going to have to put an emergency front cross or blind. Hence the I screwed up game. So what I'm teaching my dogs here is that sometimes I get it wrong and that you're going to have to save the day. To be honest, that happens a lot and the dogs have learned that a lot. So what I'm going to do, I've got a cone and I'm going to send Sparrow on around the cone and I'm going to do a front cross right in front of her and then ask her to find the weave poles. So that's going to mean she's going to have to really think what she's doing to find the weave poles. Right, come on. Okay. What was that? Poles, poles, poles. Now she could still see the weave poles on that one because it was quite a loose front cross. But you might have seen how close she had to go to skim past me to make it. So, I'm gonna deliberately be late with my front cross. So I'm gonna stand here and go, rap, 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 rap. Oh! I should have said pass. Ready? Rap, 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 rap. Pulse! Pulse! Yes! Good girl. So you could see, she didn't know where I was going. She thought, oh, she's just pivoting. Good girl. And so she started to go around me. Then I said, pulse. She went, oh, you're front crossing. Oh, wow. And she still did it. She still did it. So I made a really awful, nasty turn there. And she got it. Let's try it from the other side. So this is going to be even harder because I'm really blocking the angle. So if I was doing this properly, I would make sure I stood back to give her the line of sight. Good girl. But I'm not going to do it properly. I'm going to really mess up. Okay. Rap, 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 rap. Pulse, pulse, pulse. Good girl. So I'm deliberately getting in her way as if I've just got myself all in a muddle on a course. Because I do, don't I? I do. Right, should we try it as a blind? So if I'm sending her on a blind, I've got to imagine this is a jump. So as she's coming here, I need to pick up on this arm, okay? Let's see what we do. Rap, 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 rap. Pulse, pulse. Shh. So you can see I made the angle hard for her again. Good girl. She had to really work that angle. You didn't drop anything, mermaid. Okay, so I'm going to do it this way. So, rap, 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 rap. Pulse, pulse. Yes. Good girl. Okay, so we've done those. Let's make it even harder. So I'm moving my cone to be here at an angle. Now when she comes around the cone, say she comes this way, that's quite a nice line. But I'm going to be a terrible handler and I'm going to get in the way. Rap, 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 rap. Oh, rap, rap, rap. Pulse, pulse. Ah, yeah, now I got in the way. So you can see my leg pushed her out. Good girl. So she made a mistake. That isn't her fault, but I was pushing her to show that, like, sometimes I'm screwed up. Okay. Pulse. Oops. So this time, because she's done that twice, I won't push so hard. Pulse, pulse. Yes, good girl. Pulse, pulse, yes, good girl. So that time I really pushed into her line and she had to correct herself, but she did it. She is learning that sometimes she has to make tiny adjustments to her weave entry, good girl, because I'm in the wrong place, or maybe she's just come wide herself. So she's learning to find that entry no matter the challenges. Now to do this on a blind, is really going to make it hard, because as I'm doing the blind, I am going to be cutting into her line, and also I'm going to be blocking her view. Okay. Pulse, pulse. Oh, nearly. So you can see she had trouble there. Pulse, pulse. Oh, close. Very close. Okay. Pulse, pulse, pulse. So she's having trouble with this one because I'm staying close and she's not sure what I'm doing. So I'm going to give her a little bit more room to work. Okay. Pulse, pulse. Ah, nearly, nearly. Okay, because she's had lots of failures there, I'm going to work this differently. So I'm still going to be stood here as if I've done the blind, but I'm going to get her to, she's going to see where I am, so I'm going to help guide her in, okay? Pulse, pulse. Oh, I can't do that one. Let's try something that way. Pulse, pulse. We've lost it. So you can see that is a game we're going to have to work on. I'm going to get it right with her because it's unfair otherwise, isn't it? Pulse, pulse. Yes, good girl. So you can see, you can find places where your dog goes, I don't get the picture, by putting in these difficult blinds and front crosses, which you might find yourself doing as an emergency move on a course or by accident. We all have those moments where we go, oh, I didn't mean to blind there. I didn't mean to do that, but it happens. Good girl, well done. So play with that, build your dog's confidence. If you get failures, take it back to get successes. Don't keep repeating failures because that will diminish your dog's drive. You want success, and if you need to work on that and build that up, that's fine, isn't it? I hope you've enjoyed this Everyday Canines video. If you have, you might like to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check us out on Instagram at Everyday Canines and Facebook. I hope you'll join us again for another video very, very soon.